Hello again, my name is Michael S. Garner, and I do comic book related TV shows and movie reviews, and sometimes comic books. And today I actually wanted to go back in time a little bit to one of my favorite animated DC comic book movies, which is Wonder Woman, that came out in 2009. Now, obviously, I'm doing this video because, well, Wonder Woman 84 is coming out. And when the original Wonder Woman live action movie came out, I actually wished it would be like this animated movie because I thought that they did Wonder Woman so well in this animated movie. And I was just like, I wish they'd made this in live action, especially just the opening scene of this movie. If you have not seen this movie, watch it. If you have HBO Max, it is in there. It's from 2009. And this is basically right after the height of DC's animated high for TV, I call it. Back when we had Batman animated series, and then they went on to create things like Superman the animated series, and the Justice League, and Batman Beyond, Zeta Projects, all these different Static Shock, all these different properties from DC. So DC was just like, they were killing it with the animated world. And to a certain extent, they are now. They just basically release everything to a DVD or direct to download and everything like that. But the thing is that now we do have certain things like Young Justice and all that, but it's mainly been those animated movies and everything. But yes, this is one of my favorite DC comic book animated movies, and I was so happy that they actually finally did Wonder Woman, because we already got Superman, we already got Batman, we already got so many characters. We never got just a movie to focus on Wonder Woman, and it even had such stars that you'll be very familiar with now, especially with things like The Mandalorian and everything going on. We had Rosario Dawson in this. We had Nathan Fillion, who's always great. We had Kerry Russell playing actually Wonder Woman, which is kind of like a nod to my childhood because I grew up watching Felicity and Dawson's Creek, and at the beginning of the CW, which was the WB network in the beginning. So I'm always happy to see Kerry Russell and everything like that. I think she's a great actress, and her voice is just spot on for Wonder Woman. And she gives Wonder Woman kind of this edge that you actually kind of an edge that is brought about by Gal Gadot now in the Wonder Woman movies. Obviously not the accent and everything's there, but she just has that little bit of edge to her voice that I always loved in this animated movie. And also people like Alfred Molina, who played Dr. Octopus and plays many villains, as he'll joke around if you watch the commentary for this movie. Without giving any spoilers away, this movie is basically a beat by beat thing that would happen in the live action, which would be Steve Trevor goes to the island, crash lands on the island, and then Wonder Woman has to take him back. And it's basically the exact same story. I don't want to give too much away if you haven't seen it, but it's just a bit different than the live action Wonder Woman movie if you've never seen this. And there are so many things I appreciated about this animated movie, doing the differences between like how Wonder Woman viewed the world as opposed to actually physically being in it, getting off of their mascara and everything like that. And just little things like when you're on the island, they designed every one of the Amazons to have a particular style. And you can actually, if you look in a documentary and the making of this movie, you can see most of the stuff. But like I remember before watching the making of this movie, I was thrown back by how they designed the world of Themyscira, because every single one of them, just down to the clothing, had their own particular style. And for that character, Armistice, everybody. And it was just like, wow, they really, really thought about Wonder Woman's world in this movie. And everybody's talking about the opening scene in Wonder Woman 84. Before that ever existed, the opening scene in this movie just grabbed me. I'm like, this needs to be live action. We have yet to see it. And the live action DC comic book universe is quite different from the animated universe, but the live action, the opening scene of this movie just blew me away as far as action's concerned, and just showing Themyscira in battles and everything like that. And the chemistry between Wonder Woman and Steve Trevor in this is just as endearing as it is in the live action movies. It's just a different type of a chemistry. And I really appreciate it, especially the funny parts of this. It'll just make you laugh and everything like that. We even get things like, spoiler alert, sorry, we even get things like the invisible jet in this, and how it's explained is just, watch it, you'll get it. But yeah, this is like one of my top animated DC comic book movies is this Wonder Woman movie. And there are many things after and before this, Justice League New Frontier. There was also before this Superman versus Doomsday, you know, the Death of Superman one. They were all good. I just thought that this one stuck out a lot. And it was a shame that we didn't get another one until years later. And I think it was a couple years ago, or even a year ago. The recent Wonder Woman movie, Bloodlines, which is honestly, I feel bad for saying this, but that movie pales in comparison to the 2009 Wonder Woman animated movie. They tried and they did a lot of stuff in that movie. The action scenes were great in that movie, but just compared to like the story in the original 2009 one, didn't even match up at all. I think the only gripe about this movie that I ever had when I watched it was that this came right off of the Justice League animated series ending, where we had Wonder Woman in that, and she was a very strong character in that whole series. That Wonder Woman flew. And it was one of the few times in the animated world that we saw Wonder Woman fly. And not just jump around and everything like that. When they did this movie, they decided to make her the Wonder Woman who jumps. She does not have that power to fly. It's always been back and forth with me on that. Sometimes I'm like, yeah, Wonder Woman should fly. She should be at the level of Superman. She should be able to do all this stuff. But then other times I'm like, well, she's more of like a warrior, more grounded down to earth. And that's how she battles and everything. And I'm like, well, the flying would just make it, you know, go off into that world where you just, she can do anything now. But, in this movie, they decided to ground her again and just not make her fly. And it kind of threw me off, but it worked for this movie. And like, even in the live action Wonder Woman, that's the thing that I battled with. I'm like, okay, she's not going to fly. And it kind of goes in a back and forth, but they did a really good job of grounding it and making it work in this movie. And also I just like to mention, if you never read it's kind of like a divisive comic book, Superman Wonder Woman, that came out. It was a new 52 versions of Superman and Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman, in one of the issues, I believe it was when she first came in contact with Doomsday of the 52 universe, she said something to Superman about like flying. She wasn't used to like carrying a lot of people, like to save a lot of people if she had to, because she was basically indicating the fact that she uses flight in a different way than Superman does. He's flying off all the time and everything like that. And in the comic book, she just uses flight as a way of getting around if she needed to. But it wasn't the thing that she relied upon so much. So she didn't have the flight capabilities that Superman had, at least in that, lack of a better word, elegance. It's like he just swiftly flies off. She doesn't like fly off and like tumble and everything like that, but she just doesn't have, she never had that need to always fly, so it wasn't a necessity for her, so she doesn't do the things as well as Superman would do in that department. I never had Wonder Woman talk, I never heard her talk that way about that power, and I never thought of it that way. I'm like, oh yeah, because she is a warrior, like I said, she's more grounded and everything like that, so the flight is just an added incentive when she actually has that power, but it's not necessarily something that she relies upon. So as I said, for this movie, it worked. If you're going out to see Wonder Woman 84, or if you're going to watch it on HBO Max when it premieres this holiday, I just say, just take the time if you get a chance. If you want your Wonder Woman fix, watch this 2009 Wonder Woman movie, because it is worth the watch, if you like animation especially. They did a great job with it. The animation style is great. There's a lot of action in it. The story is sound. And I think you'd have a lot of fun with it if you watched it. So that's my review of the Wonder Woman animated movie. Obviously, I loved it. I would give it a 10 if there was a 1 to 10 scale here. And once again, my name is Michael S. Garner. I do comic book related TV shows and movie reviews and everything like that. And I also draw and write my own online comic book if you do want to check it out. It's at magicloud.com, called Visions of the New. And until next time, I hope everybody has a great holiday and a great New Year's.